the two countries. Continuing with this story, and the Asia-Pacific markets rose on Thursday following Wall Street's biggest burst of buying since 2008 after US President Donald Trump announced the 90-day pause on higher tariffs on all nations bar China. Here is what the US President had to say.
But this was something certainly we've been talking about for a period of time, and we decided to pull the trigger. And we did it today, and we're happy about it. I didn't know it would have that kind of an impact, but it's, I think they have the biggest increase in the history of the stock market. That's pretty good. That's pretty, you're almost, if you keep going, you're going to be back to where it was 4 weeks ago. But it was a sick market 4 weeks ago, because the trade was sick. It was only a question of time. I don't blame the tariffs. I think the tariffs just sort of magnified what was happening.
Japanese markets led gains in the region, with benchmark Nikkei 225 closing 9.12% higher than the previous day's closing. Taiwan's stocks closed up a record 9.3% as tech giants TSMC and Foxconn soared almost 10% each. Australia's S&P ASX 200 soared 4.5%, while South Korea's Kospi gained 6.6%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng added 2.4% and the Shanghai Composite rose 1.2%. European shares also surged, prompting a massive relief rally after days-long market routes. The Pan-European Stocks 600 opens new tab jumped 5.9% after losing 12.5% since the tariffs took effect on April the 2nd up to the last close. In early trading, Germany's DAX initially gained more than 8%, but it later came up 7.5%, while the CAC 40 in Paris gained 7.2% and Britain's FTSE 100 surged 5.4%. Meanwhile, US futures edged lower and oil prices also declined. Chinese shares saw more moderate gains, given yet another jump in the tariffs US and China are imposing on each other's exports. Well, now joining us live from the newsroom is Thomas Porteous, our anchor and correspondent with NewsX World. Thomas, before we do discuss these stocks, I do want to talk about what I said earlier relating to these US and China ongoing disputes. We've seen, of course, retaliatory tariffs from both sides. Now the US imposing 125% tariffs on Chinese imports. What is the response that we've been hearing from China, and how might this shape the future of the trade negotiations?
Well, Josh, I just want to give you a bit of background on this. It's been 8 days since Donald Trump held up his big board in the White House Rose Garden and announced tariffs universal tariffs across the world. It was originally a 34% tariff onto Chinese goods coming into the US. 8 days later, that has now become 125% on goods coming into the US from China. Now, this has been because of a whole load of decision making. The US had doubled its tariffs after the Chinese refused to back down from their very own reciprocal tariffs. And now what we see is an 84% of tariff on US goods going over to China and a 125% on goods going the other way. We have had some, since this has been imposed, we have obviously seen Xi Jinping, Donald Trump referred to Xi Jinping as a friend. However, Chinese Foreign Minister spokesperson has not said the same thing. He has called Trump's tactics bullying. He has demanded that the two reach an agreement. Donald Trump has been very vocal about countries wanting to make a deal. That's what Donald Trump's like to do. He likes to make deals. And so, in regard to this ongoing trade war, it has been pushed 90 days forward, apart from with that one country that was at the top of Donald Trump's board at 34% 8 days ago, and that is China. We will see ongoing developments with that, the two biggest economies in the world moving forward for sure. We will bring you all the developing news. However, We will go into the stocks now. Obviously, I mentioned previously that Donald Trump had announced reciprocal tariffs on many different countries around the world. Most of these countries with the higher amount of tariff were countries like Cambodia, countries like Vietnam. Some of these countries had a reciprocal tariff of up to 40%, up to 47% Cambodia was. Donald Trump has now decided to pause these after a market crash which happened on Monday. And so the markets have now gained confidence. I want to show you some of those markets now. So currently, the European markets are open. We move on to London's FTSE, which you can see in this session has gained confidence of 3.86%. We're going to move to the last 5 days, where you can see a steep drop. And then right here, where the tariffs pause was announced, I hope you can see that clearly. London, the financial epicenter of Europe, has been gaining some confidence in Canary Wharf. Now, I want to move over to MOEX, the Russian index. Apologies, we have some technical issues here. Sorry, we will move over to Italy. So Milan is seeing some stabilization today, up 2.11%. The FTSE Italia Growth Index is up. And then we move to the French index in the last 5 days, which you can see has seen some fluctuation when it comes to price. And then it has, you can see investors gaining some confidence. And then you can see here, there is a 5% increase today alone in today's session. We now move on to Asian markets that have now closed. You can see a rise in 2.6%. The Hang Seng Index, which is the Hong Kong index there, which previously saw its largest drop in 28 years on Monday. We can now seeing it's regaining some confidence, not complete confidence. I want to show you that drop, which was previously this week. Here we can see this big red line going down here. I hope you can pick that up on the camera there. As you can see here, there is a steady growth up and down, which in these markets which have just closed, but regaining some confidence in the Asian market there. The SSE index, this is Shanghai, China's index. And as you can see, this is the index that's most recently closed. As you can see, we had a major drop here on that Monday, Blue Monday 2.0, some people are calling it. However, since these 125% tariffs have been imposed on China, we can still see some steady growth, also like further markets, which goes to show that investors in China actually have are still gaining confidence in the country, even after that big drop on Monday. So yes, we will continue to bring you these developments when it comes to this hectic stock market, this fascinating time in the next few days. And who knows where Donald Trump and his tariffs are, where the predictions are going to go next.
Absolutely. Thomas Porteous, thank you ever so much for that insight. The situation with tariffs is going to continue, and here on NewsX World, we will be across all of those developments. Now, it's not just in China where reactions are coming through. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has called President Donald Trump's pause on tariffs an open door for negotiation. In Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, Sanchez, the first of a series of European leaders, has head to the east following the announcement by US President Donald Trump of sweeping global trade tariffs. He made the remarks during an official visit to Vietnam, adding that he is still needed to review the exact details of the measures. Meanwhile, Indonesia's Finance Minister Sri Mulyani Indrawati has said that planned US tariffs could reduce Indonesia's potential growth by 0.3% to 0.5%. She added that Indonesia welcomed the 90-day pause on tariffs as it provided an opportunity to mitigate or avoid the downside risks from the tariffs to economic growth. She also said that the country would use that time to come up with a framework of cooperation that was mutually respected by other countries. Indrawati commented on the recent pressure of Indonesia's currency, the rupiah, which is at an all-time low, and said that it was temporary, that the government remains focused on indicators such as corporate debt and government debt to GDP. On the other hand, Taiwan's foreign minister said on Thursday that Trump's 90-day pause on most tariffs gives Taiwan breathing room for more in-depth talks, as the island hopes to take advantage of the huge US market. Taiwan had been due to be hit with a 32% tariff, sending its stock market plummeting, though the key semiconductor industry was excluded. Here is what the foreign minister said.
现在多了90天时间，我们可以更详细深入的来谈台美的经贸合作。那我们希望这不只是一个被动的回应的川普的对等关税，我们希望能够开启台美在经贸关系上，特别是赖总统提到的台湾投资美国队。我们希望能够借由美国的庞大的市场，他们有很好的科技、资金跟人才，那结合成台美联队这样一个联合舰队的方式。我们现在已经有传达，那对方也表示有接到我们这个的讯息，那也有回应所以有关于详细的谈判的内容跟方式我们就透过现在双边。
Well, further, Thailand's finance minister stated that the country has prepared more economic stimulus focused on creating jobs, adding that the pause would give officials more time to prepare a response. Meanwhile, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has said that US President Donald Trump's decision to pause the tariffs was an important step towards stabilising the global economy. Moving on, and US